purchasing power, not nearly what it was like with our parents. You paid like $10,000 for your house. Now it's worth like $500,000. Like, stop talking.
With everything that's happening with AI and like there's going to be some pretty big shifts, I think, in corporate structures. I don't think that you're particularly safe in a steady corporate job at all.
I had a full-time job making $50,000 a year, and I was Ubering on the way home. Implementing the strategies from your course, it was $6,000 this past month. Just because you're making money doesn't mean that you're gonna not have it all of a sudden, like, never have issues.
Just tell me about you. Tell me about your story. Like, people want to hear about you. I'm going to tease this in an email and everything before it goes out, probably. So just tell us your general story of how you came into my world.
Into your world. Well, I came into your world out of like great necessity, into the FinCon world, just like in general. I started out just like most millennials in my age range, get into the real world. Like, I was so excited about it. I was like, I'm going to climb the corporate ladder, and I'm going to be like, I'm going to make so much money, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to,
Yeah.
So, and all of that came to a halt very quickly within the first 6 months. And I got my student loan statement, and I was making like $14 an hour, like as an HR advisor. Like, I mean, it was like insane. And I'm like, wait a minute, college degree. So I'm a first generation college graduate, and
Cool.
I didn't know like anything about money, to be honest with you, like GDP,
Sure.
like just all this kind of stuff. I didn't grow up knowing any of this stuff. Like, the first time I heard anything about this was like, I was like, I need to take up like a personal finance class or something, because that seems to be very relevant. So,
Right.
So I just got hit with a lot of reality, like a very hard realities. I had a divorce. He saw the amount of debt that I had, and, finances, like, you being a personal finance blogger, you of all people know, like, that's a pretty big stressor.
Yeah.
So I was just determined. I'm like, I'm going to figure this money thing out. And you know what? I'm going to prove him wrong. I'm going to be a multimillionaire, obviously, tomorrow. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So I started my blog, and I'm kind of very similar to your story. I was like, oh, blogs don't make money like instantly.
No.
They really don't. And so one thing led to another, and I started picking up content running clients, and I'm like, oh, that pays okay, but like, it doesn't pay as well as like copywriting. And I'm like, oh, let me get into that. So I dabbled with that for a couple of years. I'm like, sales funnels. Oh yeah. And then I really started getting into like the metrics. And then the recurring revenue aspect of it. Like, I really love that. So I listened to your podcast a couple of years ago. And I was like, this is it. Like, this is absolutely it. Like, this is what I want to focus like my agency on. This is all the skill sets that I've acquired, like building WordPress sites, building, like SEO, like all that kind of stuff. Like, this really, from a project management standpoint, you get to take control of the whole thing, and really see like the actual like results coming in for your clients. So, as opposed to like part of it, like with copywriting, which for those of you that don't know, copywriting is like a specific style of writing that gets people to take action. So you implement that in combination with like the digital marketing side. And if you're a control freak like me, then you'll love it. And not only that, but it pays really well. People will throw money at you if you or business owners will throw money at you if you can prove to them like the good chance of like them getting good results. Like, spend $1 to make $4 or $5. Like, they'll do that all day long. And then not only that, from a result side, from my personal finance standpoint, with just a couple of clients, like this past month, I made about $6,000. I looked at my Honeybook. I looked at my Honeybook stats. It was $6,000 this past month. So, I mean,
That's
and
crazy.
that is like with a full-time job. So,
Yeah. So
um,
you're balling now. Look at you.
well, basically, I'm a millionaire. So, basically,
No, but that's incredible though.
yeah.
Because I think the last time we talked, it was on a coaching call. I
Mhm.
don't remember what you were up to. I feel like you were up to maybe like 4,000, something like that. And
Mhm.
that wasn't that long
It
ago.
really
Like it was,
wasn't.
so you must have picked up some new clients recently.
You know me.
Yeah, that's
You
awesome.
know me, and it's still going on like this past month. Now I do have to say, and it's still like continuing. Like I'm still doing like one-to-ones and stuff like that. Implementing the strategies from your course, it does take some. It does take some time. This is not like an instant thing. Like
Oh, yeah.
it took me a couple of months to like figure out like essentially throwing spaghetti at the wall to see like what fit for my personality type. You know,
Hmm.
and for me, like the networking strategies and stuff like that tend to, surprise, work well for
Right.
me.
Yeah, you like to talk to people, or you're good at, I don't know if you like to, but you're good at talking to people,
Yeah.
which I think is, have you always been that way? Like, have you always been just like very outgoing and like able to jump on a call like this and just talk?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. To
Yeah.
me, like, so a lot of people might have like, I feel like a lot of people like, ooh, I feel like a lot of people get really scared about like sales calls and stuff like that. But it really is just like, you're just diagnosing a problem.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
for
Like,
sure.
and for me, like, being the ENFP that I am, like I'm just like, oh well, let's see how I can help you out. Like, is this even possible? Like, well, let's look at the metrics here, like that kind of a thing. So if you kind of take it out of like they're looking at me, they're thinking that I'm an imposter. If you stop worrying about you and worry about them, like the sales call becomes just more of like a conversation.
Yeah.
Um, so just for those of you that may be worried about that, like that's just or the introverts out there that may be worried
Right.
about
Yeah.
that.
Which is me. Yeah. It's so interesting. I think that I used to look at sales calls like that. Or just like I was doing in-person sales meetings, which for me is the worst
That
thing.
is,
Probably better now.
yeah,
I've gotten used to talking to people now,
yeah.
but back in the day, like I hated talking to people. I was like dressing up nice and like going to coffee shops and stuff. I had no idea what to do.
Oh,
Like I would get
yes,
there.
Bobby, that's the best.
Well, I remember I had a call one time, or not a call. I had a meeting with a guy one time. It was like all the way across town. And I went to it. I didn't even understand his business. I think it was something like turning Excel spreadsheets into like a database or something. I had no idea what this even was, but I was super desperate back then.
Yeah,
And so I went and I sat down with this guy, and within like 15 minutes, he's like, yeah, we're not going to work together. He's like, you want to just hang out and talk? And I was like, this sucks. Like, and then like small talk and stuff like that. That is my absolute, like, I cannot stand small talk, with people that I don't know very well. And so then I just had to sit there for like 45 minutes with this guy and like, it was horrible.
yeah,
But what I learned after that, and just as I kept going in my career, is like, it's not really a big deal. Like you just talk to people and ask what's going on. Like exactly like you
yeah,
said, you're kind of like, you're a doctor almost,
yeah.
like, and what I
You're a
found
doctor of
is that,
Facebook.
yeah, pretty much like just marketing in general, really
Yeah.
anything. Like you probably, if you've taken some kind of course or you've had any kind of training at all, you know way more than the business. Like the business owner wouldn't even be talking to you if they like highly understood this stuff. They would be trying to do it themselves, unless it's the rare case where they've done it themselves and are trying to outsource it. But most of the time they don't actually know what's
They
going on.
really
So it's like you
don't.
kind of walk into a call and you're the expert like immediately. If you just start asking questions like what you were talking about, like what are your conversion rates across the funnel? And they'll be like, what? I don't know. How do I figure that
Yeah.
out? And
Even
so that's cool that
it
you,
surprises me that even businesses that are making like $1 million, like million plus a year, they're just like, we're making money, we're making payroll, I'm making good money. Like I'm just like, how do you how do you not know that? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
um,
you'd be kind of surprised. Like as I've grown, our company, Stellar Brands, I say I've grown it, like there's a whole team of people and it's not just me anymore, but like as we've grown it,
yeah,
and we've gotten to a 7-figure business, there's a lot of stuff that we suck at. Like there's a ton of stuff that we're not very good at. And we outsource stuff to people all the time because there's just like, I don't know. It's just, even if you grow to, like I've talked to business owners that have businesses that do way more than my business. And I talk to them about just any of this stuff about the online world generally, or just a lot of stuff. And it's like, business owners are typically very good at what they know, but like anything that's like slightly outside of that, they're really not very good
Yeah.
at it. And that's so like, I agree with that. You should never really be intimidated by like the size of a company or anything like that, because the reality is they suck at a lot of
Yeah.
things. Like there's a reason that they're not like $1 billion company. And so, yeah, just that's cool that you were able to like recognize that early. It's probably because of all the personality stuff that you do.
Oh yeah, I'm super big into that. Well, also it did kind of help a little bit that my dad was a business owner, and so I always had
Oh yeah.
just listening to him, like the creative problem solving skills that he had. I was just he would be like, and he did pharmaceutical sales like right before that, so it was just like, oh well, I wanted to talk to this business owner, but I no one was ever able to get him from this perspective, so I just went this time and then I just did
Yeah.
this. So I just kind of picked up on that a little bit along the way,
Yeah.
and just kind of, kind of finagled my own way, if you will. No, it's still
Yeah.
by any stretch of the imagination, it's not easy. I can tell you that. Like
No.
you of all people know potential client issues, like stuff like that. It's definitely not easy,
Yeah.
and that's why like having this group. Like the course is one thing for sure, but the group is really like the Facebook group that's or not Facebook group, you guys took it off of Facebook, but the
Yeah. It's on server
right, it's
now,
on
but
server
yeah.
now, but it's really the high value there, because you're going to run into like so many issues. Like just because you're making money doesn't mean that it's you're gonna not have it all of a sudden, like never have issues. Actually, as a matter of fact, I agree with Puff Daddy in the sense of like more money, more problems, right?
It's yes,
That's
that
like
is
the one
true.
thing I
That is
agree with
true.
him, but we're not going to get into that. But no, like I mean, it really is like you're the more money that you make, the more like issues that you're going to run into, the more personalities that you're going to run into. So, so you're always going to like I like almost every week I'm just like, hey, I'm running into this new issue, like this new client call, like I don't know what to do about it. Like, what do you think I should do? You know. So,
Yeah.
and having someone that's like worked in this industry like a lot longer than I have, and been more successful for a lot longer than I have, like it makes me look like a genius.
It does help a
Yeah.
lot. It helps a lot. And I think that's actually one of the things this year, we're not like transitioning our programs, but we're focusing more on the coaching aspect,
Yeah.
I think.
That's the gold.
Just because
That's the
like
gold in the group.
it's the most valuable part. And we've always kind of done it the opposite way. And I think this is just because that was kind of the environment when we first launched Facebook Side Hustle, where it was like people were just looking for a course, and we attached coaching to the back end of it. But really, like what we found is exactly what you're saying. Like the coaching becomes the most valuable
Yeah.
thing, and the course is just kind of like the starter. Because the thing with any of our courses that we teach, like whether it's proofreading or bookkeeping or Facebook ads, like that stuff changes over time. And what you see a lot of the time is like a student will come in, they'll get like some experience in the thing that we're teaching, but like very quickly it shifts to like the client relationship aspect that you're talking about, or the financial aspect of like, how do I handle like my taxes? I don't know what to
Yeah.
do. It turns into like more of the business side of things. So like we're focusing a lot more on the coaching and like how to help entrepreneurs that are just like you, where you're at a great level right now, but you probably want to keep growing. Like we want to help people get over those hurdles, because those are the parts that are actually the most stressful. Like learning Facebook ads is not the hardest thing in the world, or learning bookkeeping or anything is like, that's not the most difficult part.
Right.
Like the most difficult part is the business part.
Yeah.
So like for you, what does that look like? What would have been the hard things in like the, client management or just whatever, the business part for you?
So the hardest part for me is being patient with the process. I'm not a patient person by nature. Like I'm a
Yeah.
friendly person. Like I can be very friendly, and like if you meet me at a social get together, like I will talk your ear off. But when it comes to
Right.
my goals, I'm like, let's go. Like, what are we doing? Like, why are we?
Uh-huh.
For those of you that are big into personality assessments, I'm an Enneagram 7 Wing 8, which is like I'm super charismatic. However, like when it's time to go, let's go. Like, what are we doing?
Right.
And can be kind of aggressive.
That's okay.
I can be. Um, so, um, so I think for me, it's just being patient, with people, patient with the process, and things of that nature. Because like I know for a fact for me, like I know that Facebook ads work, but it's just like being patient with them. Like they don't understand that. They
Right.
like you said before, like they are good at what they do, and they're like, like pixel, like what? Like, wait a minute, say that again. So it's just taking a step back and be like, okay, you're also a teacher. You have to you have to put your teacher hat on. You really do. And be like, okay, they sometimes you need to say it 2 or 3 times, and be like, oh well, I can't afford that. What do you mean? Obviously, that was a clear indication that I didn't explain the value enough. That's a very clear indication that I did not articulate that well enough. So that's kind of a coachable moment for me to be like, okay, Kat, like slow down. You can't go guns blazing with everything. So just teaching myself to slow down and just like, look, they don't know what you know, so you need to adjust your expectation levels. And adjust your perspective.
Right.
So it's just adjusting me, really. That's my biggest thing.
Well, I think, yeah, I think I've seen this a couple of times with students that have gone through like Brian Gearin is a good example. I had him on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. He started off just like you. He probably took longer, I think, to actually start getting traction than you did, but he was working with clients that were probably pretty frustrating, but now he's at a point with his agency where like, as you gain more experience with the clients that you're working with and you get better results and you get more confidence and all that, you start getting like a higher level quality of client too, on the sales calls that you get on. And so you'll start getting more experienced business owners that it's like, you get humbled a lot in business as you try to grow one. And you like learn. Yeah. I mean, I deal with it all the time.
I think if you can stomach
so it's like
being
when you're
a business owner, like you can stomach being in a war. Like I really,
maybe. It is traumatic sometimes for sure. But you start to talk to people that have like, not that they have lower expectations. That's not the right way to put it. They have more patience with you too. And they also understand that things take time. Like when you work with a really new business owner, maybe their business is like struggling, or they just haven't been in it very long. Like they want things to be done really quickly. They don't see the value in things as much. But then if you get into that next tier, which you're probably going to start getting into here of business owners, like they just kind of get it, and they'll give you a lot more time and a lot more, like they'll give you more rope. Yep. I guess is maybe, I don't know what the best way to put it, but like they will.
My newest client that we were just talking about, like, yes.
And that's the sweet spot. Like that's when you start getting those types of clients that are like low maintenance, and not low maintenance because they don't care, but low maintenance because like they understand that things take time. They're patient. They trust people. Like they hire experts to come in and do things for them. They will give you a lot more time to like just do your job. And so like, I think, for you, that's cool that you're starting to get into that, because it's a much better experience for you as the person that's running your business. Yeah. Like it takes that edge off from the bad clients. And we always try to help people like avoid the clients that are going to be a problem. But I think when you're first starting out, like you're going to get some of those. Like that's just the way it is. Because you got to figure out like what kind of clients you like to work with anyway, right? Like and are you starting to figure that out? Like who's your ideal client?
I am. And I'm starting to pick up on like, I don't want to say red flags, but red flags.
Yeah, it's red flags.
So that are just like, oh, they said this. Nope.
Yeah.
And that's what that's what you guys talk about, like within the group, within in the actual course. Like there's an actual list of questions that you can go by that signify whether or not they're going to be a good client. Because I've come to find bad clients can cost you a lot of money. One, from bad mouthing, for sure. Potential bad mouthing, and two, from your energy levels. Like,
yes,
regardless of how much money or how badly you need money, like it's never, in terms of opportunity cost, it never pays out in the long run. I've come to find, because your energy levels are going to go down, and then that's going to affect your physical health, and so on and so forth. Like I've just come to find that I'm just like, you know what, like whatever. I'm not even dealing with it.
Yeah. Well, you start to learn too that you can get, it's like you don't, I think you kind of let go of that, that need to like have a client, like have it make, like try to make it
Yeah.
work with the client. Cause we see that all the time when people first come in and they're just like, I've got this idea, this client reached out to me and we're like, that's a bad idea. Don't work with that client. And then they'll still do it anyway. Cause like people just seem to figure out for themselves sometimes. Like, you
Yeah.
know, yeah, I mean, it's, everybody does it. I did it. I mean, I worked with some ridiculous clients early on in my
Well,
career,
I
but
have to
like,
say,
you just kind of start to
yeah,
see those
and
things, you know?
I've noticed actually like a red flag in myself. Like I've noticed like my shortcoming is like, well, even though they're like this, I can make it work because I can do this, and then because of my work ethic and because of this, and you know, I I tend to have like rose-colored glasses, which I've kind of noticed like a lot of business owners tend to have that.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I can make it work.
I'm starting to lose mine.
I feel like
Unfortunately, I
I
had
feel
him for
like
so long, you
INTPs,
know?
like I don't know. I feel like you guys are the most realist. Like,
I don't, maybe, I don't know. I don't know many other people that like would say that they are. I'm sure there's plenty of INTPs out there. I don't know if I've met them or not. But I always, my thing that I did that was like a toxic trait was like, I would give people way too much benefit of the doubt. And I've like for employees and things like that, I hang on to people way too long when it's like super obvious that it's like not a good fit. I'm like, no, just I'll give
yeah,
them more time. Like I'm always telling myself like, be more patient, be more patient. And now that I've gotten to the business where it is now, I've realized like I can't do
it
that
costs you too
because
much
it
money.
it just
Yeah,
hurts everything. And it costs you a lot of money and the emotional drainage and all that stuff. Like you spend most of your day thinking about how you can get that person to perform well instead of like not thinking about that. So that's, I mean, that's just part of it though. You got to learn those things as you do things.
yeah.
Um, but that's, yeah, you've already figured out quite a few good things.
Oh,
I
well,
feel
thank you.
like, which makes me kind of wonder like what, you know, we've probably talked about this a little bit, but like where are you trying to go from here? Like you're at six grand a month, like that's amazing. What are you
So I
trying to do?
want to get. I was actually going to ask you this. I want to get
Oh,
into more online course creator clients,
okay.
and then eventually create my own digital products, and create my own like personal and create my own funnels, for my own.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the stepping ladder that I see myself going in, and I'm pretty aggressive towards like getting that. I'm in the process of like building out a funnel right now specifically for that. Um, Side note, potential course idea for you for that, but
Okay. Cool. Um, yeah. So what is your question about course clients? I'm happy to answer. I actually have a lot of thoughts on this because I've done it from both ways. I've actually run ads for people that have courses. Mike and I did that early in Laptop Empires. We took on a couple of clients, and then I've also done it for myself.
so my question, I mean, obviously there would have to be like a different strategy for that, like as opposed to like local lead gen clients, because I feel like it's a lot less education. Um,
Yeah, it's harder. I will say like it's harder to starting out because like the thing about courses is that like typically unless you have like a really big online presence or you're like a really famous person, like those people probably sell courses
mhm,
pretty easily because there's like an inherent
mhm.
trust that's built in. Um, and like doing it to cold, like, so for people that are listening, like if you're running ads to people that have no idea who you are at all, you're probably going to lose some money up front unless you have a really good back end funnel
Yeah,
structure put in place. Like I know, like Chris Orzakowski that I was talking about, he just did a video on his LinkedIn the other day. He's a good person to follow for this, but he's got like 5 upsells on the back of his funnel. Like he basically gives away something and then he sells something for a very low dollar amount. And then he's got another upsell
yeah,
and
like a
another
tiny
upsell and another
offer
upsell.
structure.
And yeah, and it works. I mean, it's working really well for him. We've done some of that. I wouldn't say that that's actually our, like at Stellar, that's not really our
Yeah,
strategy, just because we have a lot of different things going on. And we found that the best thing for us is to get people on the list. So like run ads, get people on your list, use organic traffic, and then just do a lot of email marketing. So either way works. I think that anything that you do is going to take email marketing. Like you've got to be, you don't have to be a great copywriter, but like you have to warm people
yeah,
up over a period of time before you just try to get them to buy
yeah.
something from you, which is fair.
That's a
Cause
lot.
like people don't want to just spend like a grand,
Yeah.
because there's so much of this, like, we were just talking about this the other day. We have a YouTube video that sends people to one of our webinars. And we had somebody that was like commenting on it and like, this is a scam, because there are so many scams out there, and it's a really tough thing to combat, because people just inherently don't, there's so many of the like crypto bros and like the course business, after we launched Facebook Side Hustle, courses got really, really popular. And there was a lot of these people that were teaching stuff that they had no idea what they were teaching. And so there's just a lot of people that have been burned by that kind of stuff. And so I feel like the best way to combat that is just like provide as much value as you possibly can, like do a lot of teaching through email marketing. And then the way that we're probably going to be moving with our programs is opening and shutting them. And so like quarterly, like you come in a cohort. We've just found that that's better for our students usually, and then shut it down. But either way can work. And ads do work. Like ads work very well for getting people into those funnels, and Facebook ads specifically work very well for getting them into the funnel. But it just takes a lot of nurturing, I think. You can either do it two ways. You can do it like the upsell funnel, and you're going to spend some money up front to try to figure that out. Or you can do what we're doing right now, where is like get people in and just, I do daily email now, which has been a lot of fun. And we just nurture them as much as we can. And then we open the course and we kind of tell them about it. And then we launch it kind of like a Jeff Walker style 7-day launch. And we shut it down and we work with the client.
That's how you got me.
That's how we do it.
I remember I was like late or super early, and I was like, can you please let me in? Like, I really want to start.
Yeah, you get a lot of people that do that. And what's funny about it, one of the reasons that we're going back to that, because we've done the evergreen stuff and all of that for years, and it does work. But what I found, like when we first launched Facebook Side Hustle, it did incredibly well. And the reason that it did so well is because I was just writing blog posts and sending them to my list for a very long time, like just teaching. At the time I was like documenting my business story and like telling people how I was growing the business. And so there was a lot of trust there. Like a lot of people like knew who I was. They saw me in the inbox a lot. They saw my story. And so then when it made time to like come with an offer, then it was really, really popular. And then we kind of moved away from that over time, because I think the thing that every business owner wants is like evergreen revenue. Like you want stuff coming in all the time. But I just felt like that wasn't the best way for us to do it. And I think that's specifically because I like writing, and like I have a specific weird style of writing that I do that just works really well. And so we've gone back to that. But hopefully I just gave you like a thesis on like how to sell courses and everything. But there's a lot of different ways to do it. The biggest thing is like provide as much value as you possibly can. Like do a lot of teaching, give away stuff for free. I think storytelling is really big, because you want people to understand, like you could just be telling your story of like going from $0 to $6,000 a month. That's really powerful.
I paid off a lot of debt.
Like that's the kind of email marketing that you can put together. Yeah. Well, I want to talk to you about that too, because I saw that in the pre-show questionnaire thing that I wanted to ask about. But just tell your story. And I think if you do that, you'll never go wrong. It sometimes feels very slow to do it that way, but I think it's the best way to do it. But the evergreen funnels with all of the upsells and all that stuff, it works too. And you can just try both of them and see which one works better for you. But anything that you do, if you work with clients, you do it for yourself. I think there has to be a component of email marketing where you're just like being very authentic and you're just storytelling and making people excited to open up their inbox. Because typically if you sell a course, like you're going to sell it through email, you'll do some social stuff, but usually we see like the most conversions come through email.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, because that's how you got me. I'm a big proponent of that. But you wanted to talk a little bit about the debt part, which I'm a big proponent.
Yeah.
Like I started out like in the FinCon space, like I'm super big into that. So yeah,
that's cool.
Like it's such a huge part of life, and like how it develops relationships, how it affects relationships. Like I'm super big into it. And I'm just now like in my late 30s, finally getting a hold of it.
That's still, I'll tell you from doing what I've done for the last 10 years, like that's still very, very early. So don't feel bad about that. I don't know if you do or not, but like I've had so many people that email me that are like in their late 50s that are like just figuring out, like, they're like, oh crap, I need to retire in 7 years. Like, how do I do it? And it's like, it's not impossible, and people still do really well. Like if they can get themselves on track, but, in your 30s is like a perfect time to do it. I always tell my friends that, because I'm 36, all my friends are around the same age. And I'm like, you guys need to start investing. Like you need to start paying off your debt. Like you got to start doing that now because
Yeah.
you've got a long time, and
Well, I think I finally
it's a
woke
good
up when
thing.
I was
So,
29 and I was like, I'm not getting anywhere
yeah,
with this corporate BS. Like, I'm just not. Like, I was living in Austin,
yeah,
like living paycheck to paycheck. Like, I would, I had a quote unquote good job. This makes me so angry. Like, don't even get me started. Like, I get so angry. You want to talk about tangents? I'll get on a
yeah.
tangent with like, so, okay, here's
Go
the
for
thing.
it.
Purchasing power, not nearly what it was like with our parents. Like my parents were
No,
like, and my family just in general, they were like,
no.
college degree, like that's the way to go. And they're still just like totally baffled. They're like, we don't understand why you were. Da, da, da. I'm just like, your purchasing power was like significantly higher than what we had. Like, don't even go there. Don't
Yes,
even go
yeah,
there. You paid like $10,000 for your house. Now it's worth like 500,000. Like, stop talking. Like I can
right.
I was paying fifteen hundred
Yeah,
dollars a month for a studio apartment in Austin, and it wasn't even in the best part. Like, don't even get me started.
right.
Do not.
Yeah,
I had a full time job making $50,000 a year, and I was Ubering on the way home, like Uber driving, like because I was like I
yeah,
can't pay my bills,
yeah,
like I
yeah, yeah,
can't. Like I was living literally paycheck
yeah.
to paycheck. It was the scariest thing in the
That's
world, and I had a VP like that I was working directly under that like super high turnover rate. And I'm like, it was the most unsteady feeling of my entire life. And I'm like, I have to have more control of my own finances. Like I just have to. That's the only way that I'm going to feel
yeah,
safe is like by having my own business. And,
yeah,
I just thought like, oh, well, having a steady corporate job would be it, but that's not the trends. That is absolutely not the trend. There's
no.
way more instability than what you've seen with the parents. What they had, like they had like one job.
Oh, for sure.
Mom stayed at home. Dad did this, and they did really well. And I'm just like I get into it every single
Yeah.
Christmas, every single Thanksgiving. Like I'm like running through the numbers with them. But okay, sorry, like I get so amped up about this kind of stuff, it's not even funny. um
Well, it's so true though. Like it. I mean, even it's been the last 10 years. Like your purchasing power has gone down. In the last 3 to 4 years,
yeah,
it's really changed. Um, and I've always like, to me, it would be scarier to just have like a corporate job because you really have less control. Like people feel like entrepreneurship, you do that and there's no safety net and all of that stuff. But you can at least control your own destiny in a way that you can't if you're just, hoping that you get good like quarterly reviews and performance reviews. And then like, with everything that's happening with AI and like, there's going to be some pretty big shifts, I think, in
yeah,
corporate structures and, the types of people that they hire. Like, I don't think that you're particularly safe in a steady corporate job at all anymore. I think it's actually much less safe than being an entrepreneur because you can at least pivot. Like you can add different services, you can upskill, there's a lot of
yeah.
different things you could do.
And
And being just, like,
I'm sorry, I get
go
so
ahead.
passionate about this. Okay, so even let's
No,
say
you're
your
good.
job
No,
is
no, that's
stable.
cool.
Like okay, and I've seen some like hardcore hustlers. They like piss senior leadership's butt like crazy. Like I don't know if I could say anything else. So I
Right.
figured butt was the like safe thing to say. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know what you could say, honestly, either. I think that it
Well,
just gets
whatever.
edited out, but
Suck
whatever,
ups,
say what you want.
essentially. And they're like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do so well, I'm gonna do so well, and they get like a 5% raise as opposed to a 3% raise. And I'm just like, really? Like that's after all of that
Yeah.
effort, you took on an additional person's job for and maybe in like strong cases 10%. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
This is this is bullshit. Like I'm just over it. This is bullshit.
Right.
And I can't even pay
Yeah.
it. Like I can't even buy a house. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
houses what or like
Oh,
three
yeah,
thousand
yeah. I
dollars a month?
mean, I've seen it.
Like for like a decent house in like
Yeah.
a decent neighborhood if you don't want to like be scared for your life all the time, or like have all these issues. And and I live
Right.
in Columbia, South Carolina, which is not like the highest, it's a pretty low cost of living area. So with all that being said, like having
Yeah,
an extra side hustle, like is honestly the only way to go.
I think so. I actually think, talking about the AI stuff, I think that I think there is going to be this like work displacement that happens in corporations primarily. I think it's going to start there. This is like my AI prediction.
Safe.
I think a lot of companies are going to rush
Mm-hmm.
to implement a lot of this AI stuff. And you're already seeing it now because it's like the new hot thing. And I think that a lot of people are going to get displaced because of that. And that's why I've always been a big proponent of just side hustles and, having extra income. But I think that having your own business is going to become easier because of AI. Like, I think that a lot of things, I don't think that AI is just going to like wipe out like freelancers and all that kind of stuff. What
You
I think
need
is
to
going to
tell it what
happen
to
is that
do.
these like AI agents that they're coming out. Yeah, it's like you're going to be managing the thing that does the busy work, and then you're going to be handling client relationships and making sure that the quality is there
Yeah.
from the work that the AI does. Like, I don't think that's in the next like 1 to 2 years, but I think like if you look like 5 to 10 years, like that busy work that makes it so hard to have a side hustle, that's going to kind of go away, and so you're going to be able to spend more of your time on the client facing side, the sales side, and the things that are like the human
Yeah.
relationship side that AI can't do. As much as people want it to do that, I don't think that it will be able to do that anytime soon. And so I think it's going to be easier to have a side hustle. I think there's going to be more freelancers than there were previously. And I think it's ultimately, it's a good thing for the people
Yeah.
that are doing this stuff right now. Like, you'd rather be getting into it now than getting into it like when the land grab has already
Yeah.
happened 5 years or 7 years from now. That's at least my prediction on it. But yeah, it always like having something on the side or being an entrepreneur. It's not always like the most fun
Yeah.
because it can be really scary, but it is, I think, the
Mm-hmm. Oh
safest
yeah,
play moving
I'm thinking
forward.
about starting a second business too. To be honest with you, of real estate development. Like I mean, like flipping houses. Like I'm
Yeah,
serious. I just like building things. To be honest with you,
yeah,
like building funnels. Like you know what I'm saying. Like I just like seeing something come to life and seeing the fruition come out of that. But this is a totally random side note,
oh,
but
for
it's
sure.
just definitely very related. So kind of going back, one, the personality thing, and then two, introverts that are interested in this. I feel like more introverts are more interested in this type of side hustle as opposed to like somebody like me. But I feel like,
Oh yeah,
yeah, it seems that way.
it seems that way.
But I feel like it seems like somebody like me would have it easier, and I do have it easier in a lot of ways, in the sense of like, hey, what's your name, like what's your business, hey, have you ever done, yeah,
Right, you
that's
can go
easier
talk
for
to
me.
people.
But I do have to say, like, I feel like introverts um get more respect faster because they're better listeners, you know. They really and
Oh, that's
truly are. They
interesting.
pay attention to more like details, and they're, instead of like somebody like me, like I'm very, like, I mean, I can still listen, right? Like I've gained listening skills, obviously. It just takes more work for me, right? Like, but I
Yeah,
feel like introverts, like they take in, like, you as an introvert listening to this podcast, you have a superpower in the sense of like you internalize things more, so you listen more. So I feel like that is your unique selling point. You know what I'm saying? Like just like use that to your ultimate
yeah.
advantage. Um,
That's a good way to put it. And I think because as an introvert, and I've become
yeah.
less over the years because like I deal with people every single day, but I've always heard that I'm a good listener, which I don't actually always feel like I am, but like people just feel like I'm listening more. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's like my facial expressions or I'm just
No, I
watching
feel like
people or
you
what,
do.
I don't know what it is. Um, yeah, it just, people have told me that my whole life, and I feel like it's easier. I've had a very easy time like getting people to like
Mm-hmm.
working for me because of that, I think. Because I'm usually like, if we just had a team call yesterday, and I'm usually the one that just sits back and listens, and then I like provide input when I think it's necessary, but I kind of just like let people cook because I feel like they're there. I hired them for that. And I'd rather
Yeah.
listen to what they're saying instead of like tell them. Um, and I think that that's helped me. But where it was hard for me as an introvert is the sales side of it, because I hated, like, I used to hate talking to people on the phone. Like, I didn't even want to like
Yeah.
call
No, but
people. You know what I
I
mean?
feel
Like, I
like
wanted
they
to like
make for
text
the better
people.
salespeople because
Um,
they don't feel like they're trying to be sold to. You know what I mean? Like I feel like they have that competitive
yeah,
advantage, like even over somebody
yeah,
like me. You know what I mean? Um, yeah.
Maybe, yeah, I can see that. I think it's a balance though. I think it's like just like you said, you've picked up new skills. Like I think introverted people probably do listen a lot more because sales calls it's way better to listen than to talk usually. But I do think that like they also have to like learn the skills that you have, where it's like
Yeah.
you've got to be able to like pretend to be extroverted for a little bit. And I think that that's where you're finding yourself right now is you're figuring out that balance. Like you're figuring out how to
Yeah.
like talk, but also listen to more and then like diagnose the problem. So it's just like, I think it's just a journey, but that's a great, I've never heard anybody really say that about introverts having
Yes.
that superpower. So I actually think that's really cool because I always struggle with like, I'm just like, hey, it's gonna be really hard
No,
and it's gonna be really
that's why I
uncomfortable.
like jumping on the
So
calls with you. Like
sorry,
remember when I
you
told
know.
you about that one client that I had and you were like you listened to me for like 10 minutes because I was like at that point I knew I was rambling. I knew. But you were like, yeah, I was venting
You're just
slash
venting.
like needing a little bit of validation. Like, should I actually do this? And you were like,
Yeah.
you know what to do. Like you you already know.
Yeah.
You already
Yeah.
feel it. So let's go. And I'm like, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Well, that's just, I've noticed that it was maybe just the older I've gotten or the more I've been in business, like most people already kind of know, like you
Yeah.
kind of see where the conclusion of something is going. Like if somebody is upset about something or, you know, whatever. And like, you know, it's going to get there eventually. So like, I'm just like, well, let's just cut all the, like, let's just
Yeah.
skip all the hard part and let's just do the thing, you know,
Yeah.
like, why do we have to,
I feel like
why do you have to worry about it? But I also know that my
yeah.
personality is very suited to that. Like because of like, that's why I don't like small talk sometimes because I'm like, can we just skip this part and like talk about the thing that we actually need to talk about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like, and that makes it hard for me because like my wife is really good at small talk and
Can
I'm
we
always
just
just like,
be
oh
over
God,
this?
can we just like stop talking about the weather
Yeah.
and like get right
Let's
into
cut the
the
BS here.
freaking
And that's
the thing, you
for
know?
those of you that are big into personality assessments, like that's a superpower of INTPs. Their primary cognitive function is TI, which is introverted thinking, which is like the truth. Like what are the cold hard facts? And that's what you go to INTPs for, i.e. body. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Hey, I guess so. Maybe that should be your course. Maybe your course should be like personality. Like it should be like some kind of sales, like personality training, so you can like figure
Are
yourself
you
out and then
kidding
figure
me?
your potential clients out.
Oh, that's such a good course idea.
It could be. I don't know. You're gonna have to,
It already is
validate
validated.
it,
I
do
have
all the
insanely
things.
high
But
close rates.
just throwing that out there. Yeah. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's like how to, you know, because like you're talking about introverts, like how to sell for introverts or like how to sell
Yeah.
as an extrovert. I don't know.
Sorry, like
Just throwing that
I
out
get
there.
super big into it. Like you can apply it
So.
to every single part of your life. Okay, sorry. But
I'm totally used to it. Like we have a lady named Jess on our team that she's way into it as well. Like she was like we were just talking
Yes.
last week. She's like everybody's got to take personality tests. I don't even remember which ones, but she listed off a couple of them. She's like, we need to be talking
Yeah.
about this stuff. We need to be, you know, whatever, all this stuff. And I'm just kind of like, all right, cool, whatever, I'll take them. But I think that is important though. And I think sales is the hardest thing for entrepreneurs to figure out. You know, like that's one of the things that we talk about internally all the time. Is like, how do we help our people sell better? You know, like
if you know a person's
yeah,
personality,
it's just
you could like actually if you do it the wrong way, you could be actually very manipulative. But if you do it the right way, you could help that business owner out.
Yeah. So yeah, just teach them. Don't tell them to manipulate people, but just
the business owner's own good.
Just teach them how to
like, you know, articulate it in such a way that it generate like you sell them on you and your services so that you can help them. And yeah.
Right. Yeah, that totally makes sense. I want to go back real quick. We touched on it, and then I said I wanted to go back to it, and then we didn't really talk about it. But like the credit card debt, tell me about that. Like, how did you pay that? You said I think you paid off 3 credit cards.
It felt so
crazy.
good. It felt so good. So I still currently.
So what was the problem, and how did you fix it?
I misaligned my ribs. Yeah, and my dad and my mom both have a lot of health issues. And so they have a paid for house, but my dad lost his business. My mom's a paranoid schizophrenic with early onset of frontal temporal dementia. And my dad is a heart patient that almost died from a heart attack as well as the second time from a bad knee surgery. So they have a lot of like stuff that I need to help them out on. So
Yeah.
from that perspective, and then I also had some other health issues that I had to take on. So I was at $14,000 in credit card debt. And so now I'm at like 11.
Okay.
So, um,
Okay.
so yeah, it's a lot lower. And it was just
Lower.
within a couple of months of like getting back, getting back literally, quite literally on my feet. Cause like misaligning ribs is like a huge thing.
Yeah.
Um, like even going to the bathroom, it was like, oh, I gotta go take a nap now. You know, like it's like the craziest thing. But yeah, like I created a goal. By the end of the second quarter, I will have paid off um all of my credit card debts, have the six
Wow.
months worth of savings, and go full time with my business again. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah. Side note,
That's cool.
according to Sarah Blakely, for those of you that are like female entrepreneurs, you should always follow Sarah Blakely because she's like the coolest female entrepreneur. She said that if you physically write your goals down, you are like 90 times more percent on doing it, because there's something about like the physical transference of like writing the goals down, like not putting it in your laptop, not putting it in your phone, like
Yeah.
literally put it in like I'm adding this on like six of the most highest traffic places that you frequent every day. Like, so you every day you brush your teeth, put it on the mirror. Like, you go by your bedstand, put it on there. That's what I did at least. And then when you open up your wallet, like have something else out
Yeah.
there. You know what I'm saying? Like just stuff like that. Um, so it helped me, like implementing those things like helped me get to this point. But I think if I continue with this and implementing the strategies that you have in your course, as well as, you know, that kind of thing, I think I'll have 6 months of worth of savings, pay off my credit cards, and pay off my car. I'm almost done. I've got like $4,000 left on my car. So that's just a couple of clients. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, and I agree with the like writing stuff down. I do that a decent amount. Like I feel like if I wrote
Yeah.
one, if I don't write it down, I lose it. Like it just goes somewhere. So I do write down those kind of things. As a company, like we set our goals, and like we already have like everything planned out through through Q2 of next year. But I'm a big believer in doing what you just did, where you just say it out loud. Like I wrote an email about this the other day. Like there are so many people that have these big dreams and these things that they want to do in their life, and then they like keep it to themselves. And then usually like when somebody asks them what they want to do with their business, they'll like undershoot. Like they want to say like, I want to build $100,000 a month business, but then they'll tell other people like, I'd like to make $20,000.
Oh, sorry. Screw that.
Yeah. And it's just because, sorry, we'll bleep it out. But I think that people get worried about like the social like implications. Cause like when you tell some people like your goals, like your big dreams, they get like real weird because it's like they don't have those kind of dreams. And so they hear you say it and they're like, oh, this person's a jerk. And I've dealt with that a lot in my life because I just kind of say the stuff out loud, because I do believe like if you say it out loud and you believe it, then you're more likely to achieve it. Like maybe you'll fall short, you know, but if you have like the courage to just speak it out loud, I think it's more likely that it's going to happen. I think that's probably in a book like Law of Attraction or something like that. But I'm just like, so what you just did, like you just said it like in front of other people, this is what I'm going to do. And you write it down, all that stuff, and you put the work in. Like, of course you're going to get there. Like, it's just a no brainer.
I'm a big,
you know what I mean?
Like, what do you call it on Instagram? I'm big into like putting in my stories, like all these like crazy, like borderline delusional things that you should put on your, that you should put up there. Like, again, like, this is my best and worst quality. Like, I'm like, oh, obviously, like, if I set this goal, then obviously I'm gonna be a millionaire tomorrow. Like, which is not what Bobby says in his course.
Yeah,
he's not saying that you're gonna be a millionaire tomorrow. No, but be delusional, quote unquote delusional, according to society's standpoint of like thinking that you can actually accomplish this goals, because you actually can. You know, it sounds insane. Like even me, like looking at my honey book, be like, God, I literally made $6,000 this month in my side hustle from a couple of clients. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
You know, it just feels weird, but it's very attainable.
Oh, it is. And I've seen, it's funny doing these courses and just kind of doing what I've done for the last 10 years. I've seen so many people that didn't feel like they could achieve very much, like do some really crazy stuff. like build six-figure, multi-six-figure businesses, really crush it. And I think it just takes like kind of doing what you did. Like you just came in and you just did the work, like I think a lot of people just like because we have people that buy courses and they don't ever do anything with it. And it's the most annoying thing in the world. But I think it's just like doing the work and then like actually saying things out loud that scare you and writing those things down, like those big crazy goals, because like what you'll find over time is like, you'll just start meeting those goals. And then it just keeps getting crazier and crazier.
And don't say to people that
used to it.
Don't say to people that
over time, but like
one are in their own negative mindset of like, oh, you'll never do this, or everything's always hard because of X, or I can't do this because of X. Like, don't talk to those people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't talk to those people. Yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I think you got to surround yourself with people that, and it happens naturally as you grow your business because you just start like networking and like meeting more people that do really well in business. But yeah, you absolutely cannot surround yourself with people that have a negative mindset, which unfortunately I've found is like the vast majority of people that have these like crappy corporate jobs that you're talking about that are stuck and they don't see like a way out for themselves. And so then it makes them feel better in some way to like kind of cut you down as an entrepreneur and like, oh, you'll never get there. Or you're worried that they're going to say that or think that. So my friend circle has changed a lot, maybe not on purpose, but like I've very much started hanging out with people that are like where I am or way further ahead of me. Much less than people like I still hang out with friends that aren't where I am, but like,
or where you
I want to hang out with the friends that like want to see other people do well. Yeah. And like, I've got some great friends that like, they're kind of maybe earlier in their careers, but like they really want to like do a lot. So I'm always encouraging them, like do more, like you can earn more than that. You're worth more than this. Like you can do way more. That's just the kind of people you want to be around. And I do think that matters a lot, which is why the networking part of it is so big. Are you doing network stuff?
Yeah. That's
are you like going out to events and stuff? I think
that's like the thing that worked. That's one of the strategies that worked best for me. But I mean, I think it just works best just like in general, because I actually have a call with somebody who's like what do you call it? A soft, they're like a pressure washing company. They were like, hey, yeah, we had somebody email us, but somebody within the BNI group said that you do this. And then I saw that you posted in our Facebook group about this. So you know what I'm saying? Like it just tends to be more effective. Yeah, that's the thing that worked best for me, which was one of the strategies that you recommended.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think you got to talk to people. I think you got to like just get out there and do uncomfortable stuff. Yeah. Okay, we're coming up on time. So, but I do want to give you an opportunity to tell people about your business, tell them where they can find you.
My business,
all that kind of stuff.
I run ads for businesses, and I run audits for potential businesses to see where I can find holes. Like let's say like the top part of your funnel is working well, but the middle or latter part is not doing well. Like I audit those. So if you just DM me on Instagram and it's at Catherine Treen on Instagram, that's my handle. Just give me a buzz and I'll shoot you out a Loom video. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much for joining. You're so easy to talk to. Like I get, sometimes it's tough with the podcast because like you get people on that are like very difficult to talk to. So it's always great when you can like just have a conversation that's like an hour long and it feels like it was 10 minutes.
Personality
so anyway, thank you so much.
This shit could last for 4 hours.
Well, I'm sure when you get to, I want to have you back on when you reach all of your goals.
Oh,
that you set, the Q2 goals.
Assuming I don't have any more health issues.
And
I think that I actually will. No, we can't.
No, yeah, we can't speak that into being. Exactly. You gotta say that you're not going to have them. But yeah, so I'm so happy for you and your business and everything you've done. Yeah. It's fun watching you grow it.
Well, and, I am perfect.
You're just such a wonderful person to talk to. So, very happy for you. And well, that's, like I said, that's why we had you on the podcast. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yes.
Everybody go check her out. Hire her.
Ciao. Take care.